Alaric Jackson is dealing with blood clots yet again. Rams signed DJ Humphries in response, and Derion Kendrick is cut. Tons to talk about on this off-season update episode here on the Rams Up Podcast Network. What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Rams Up Podcast Network. I'm Ian. That's Mark. If you're on YouTube, like this video, subscribe to the channel. And if you're on the audio-only side of things, share this podcast and the audio with all your fellow Rams fans. Any of those options helps other Rams fans see our content. We very much appreciate it. But gosh freaking dang it, Mark, Rams Nation. We couldn't even make it a mini camp without a starter going down with something. And it bummed me out seeing this news early in the morning as left tackle who just got paid, Alaric Jackson, battling blood clots for a second time in his playing career. I mean, what a freaking bummer, dude. What a bummer. As we got this tweet earlier in the morning from another Ian Rappaport, NFL insider with the NFL Network. Rams offensive tackle Alaric Jackson, a key member of the O-line who just signed an extension, is dealing with blood clots once again, per the insiders. Similar to what he had in 2022. While the belief is he'll play in 2025, there are still questions. That explains the DJ Humphries signing, and we'll get to that signing a little bit later. But, Mark, what a freaking bummer. What a bummer.
Yeah, we just heard Sean McVay talking the other day about how this team has to learn to deal with adversity. And typically he's talking about, a losing streak or, bad things that happen during a game. I think the front office has to deal with some adversity like now, and they're trying to. This is quite the bummer because, I love our starting five up front, really promising. Hey, let's just hope for the best. Maybe it's not as bad as it looks. We'll be getting more information over the next few weeks. I don't know much about this medically, but yeah, it is quite the bummer.
Yeah, I mean, for Alaric Jackson, too, I mean, the guy just got paid. Good on him for getting paid when he did. I mean, sincerely. And if the Rams didn't bring him back, another team was going to snag him and offer him money, and he would be getting compensated well with another franchise, for sure. No doubt about it. But, man, from the football perspective, again, me and Mark are no medical experts. And, again, there are different levels of the blood clots. Is it in the lungs, which is common with people? Is it in the legs? How serious is the clot? I mean, there's all these layers that we just have no idea about, and they'll probably never release unless Alaric wants it out and the team wants it out, or it leaks out, which the Rams, things don't leak out like that, especially medical history stuff. So let's take it from the football side of things, Rams Nation. He is a lineman, an offensive lineman, who is having to, bruise literally his body on a play-by-play basis, where he is dealing with physical contact every single play, driving people into the ground on run blocking, keeping the quarterback free and anchoring into the ground to take on impacts in pass blocking situations. It is inevitable that linemen, D or offense, are going to get bruised and nicked up. And the natural bruising that you get from just colliding with people on the line, play in and play out for a gazillion weeks in a row in terms of this NFL schedule, right? From August to January. Think about it. A blood clot issue with a trench guy, lineman, offense or defense. And then on top of that, you're going to be getting natural, battle bruises on top of that. I mean, this is not good. For anyone out there who is optimistic, respect to you, because I am not. Back in 2022, he missed majority of that season. I know he played in 6 games, and then after, the season was starting out crappy, it just got worse when he was getting yanked and he had to medically, sit out the rest of that year, and he took his medication, whatever else. Again, I'm not super familiar with that, but you missed a majority of the season then. Yes, came back in 2023. Yes, came back in 2024. No issues with the blood clots, but they had other things going on. And this is not good. And that alone, why I don't feel good. But what's another reason? Shout out to Blaine Grisack on Twitter, X, as he does, really good articles for Turf Show Times and has fun analytical data / commentary on X Twitter. I'm sure many of you are familiar with this stuff. And he says here, hey, we'll see what Alaric Jackson's timeline looks for the Rams. A potential timeline, he brings up Patriots D lineman Christian Barmore was diagnosed with blood clots last year, and wasn't activated until November 16th. Then, not that long after, was placed on injured reserve on December 19th with reoccurring blood clot symptoms. Not good. And then he says AJ Jackson could be back in October. So I think best case scenario, Mark, he's going to miss half the season. Sincerely, best case scenario in my mind, he's missing half the season, whether he goes on the POP, physically unable to perform list, whether he goes on injured reserve, whatever the designations. I'm not super familiar how this will, lay into what list or, reserve group he'll be a part of. But I think best case scenario, he misses half the season and he comes back and he has no issues. But for this being the second time and him being a lineman and all that scenario I said about him just battling body to body with people on a consistent basis, I mean, the chances of it reoccurring for a third time is incredibly high. And this Christian Barmore with the Patriots example just exemplifies my worries even more. So not good, Mark. Not good at all.
Well, you're getting me more worried, but I'm going to try to remain optimistic. We could be thankful that it's still June, number one, and the Rams should have access, Alaric should have access to the greatest medical care in the world, especially being in Los Angeles. So let's just hope, they figure it out. What I would be also concerned about is, when even if he does feel okay, and even if they do give him the okay, there's going to be that concern in the back of his mind, perhaps, while he's playing. That's what I'd be concerned about. And that's not good for mental health, to be playing with the risk of, something that could go medically sideways at any moment.
Absolutely.
So I'm also concerned about that. But, hey, it's the first encounter with adversity. It's only June. Let's hope the Rams figure it out. And hey, maybe they make a trade, see how DJ Humphries pans out. We can talk about him in a minute, but that left tackle position in this offense and any NFL offense is just so critical, right?
It is. I mean, we felt good. I felt good. I know you did as well, and I'm sure majority of Rams Nation feels this way, that the starting five was a good group of five. Now, we'll see who wins the center's job, right? Will it be Bo Limmer to hold on to it with his second year? Will it be Coleman, who they're penciling in, which I think, we talked about it. I think that's kind of crazy just to pencil them in immediately, let them battle out. So we'll see how that goes. But I felt good about the group no matter who won the job. I'd be like, okay, it would be deserved and felt good. But, this on top of Jordan Rodriguez's concerns about Rob Havenstein, and she usually is in the know of these things as well, with him having to clean up procedures on his shoulders, and he's an older player in the league and he's missed time for various reasons. Remember last year he missed with the ankle. He missed other parts of the year where, his absence screwed the team. Not his fault, but that's how valuable these guys are. Alaric Jackson being suspended last season screwed the team. So the lineman play is incredibly important, especially at the tackle spots, because guys, we play a ferocious group of pass rushers this whole entire season, right? We have Bosa and their first round pick with the Niners. We have the Seahawks defensive line group. That's Leonard Williams and Byron Murphy and others that will probably be more acclimated with the 3-4 McDonald's scheme they're running in Seattle. We're getting Gannon's group of guys who kicked our ass out in Arizona out of nowhere last year. And, we played better that second time around, but it wasn't fantastic either, right? Then we play the Eagles again. Great. We play the Jacksonville Jaguars, who have some studs rushing the passer. And I can go down the list and yada, 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 but you get the idea. We play a lot of talented pass rushing units all this 2025 season coming up. So Alaric being missing, Rob's health being wishy-washy now as an older player. I mean, this could go south very, very easily. So I hope he'll recover. And I know there's plenty of people saying, hey, he can take medication. He could be ready for week 1 and all that. And that is very much a possibility. And I'm hoping that ends up being the case. But if I had to bet money on it, he'll miss half the season. And then we'll see from there on after week 8, 9 and see what happens then. But man, not good. Not good at all, Mark.
Well, maybe we should talk about this new addition. Rams
Yeah.
trying to do something to keep the ship floating here. I don't think maybe that's an overstatement of the situation, but they got some time to figure things out.
Yes.
That's the upside. If
Yeah.
this was August 28th, it would have been a major bummer. At least it's Friday the 13th, actually.
Yeah, I know.
June.
How nice.
So, there is time to figure things out.
And there is. And I agree with your point there that it being this time of the season, the off season, technically, better than later. Absolutely. But we all were wondering, hey, that's a pretty good depth signing the other day as DJ Humphries joins the Rams on a 1-year deal, as his agency says, signed to the Rams. As yes, Rams signed former Pro Bowl left tackle with the Arizona Cardinals, DJ Humphries, to a 1-year deal, as he had a lot of good moments with the Arizona Cardinals, right? That's when he was a Pro Bowler during the 2021 campaign, our Super Bowl season, as he played well, and he was a big reason why the Arizona Cardinals had a good record that season. Obviously, we leapfrogged them and kicked their ass in the wild card playoffs. Aaron Donald was choking them out at SoFi Stadium in that game, so that's his last memory with us, probably burned in his brain. And hopefully, DJ, no hard feelings. Aaron Donald's retired and kicking people's ass in the weight room instead of choking you out on the field. So hopefully he's okay, and that won't linger, and no one will make jokes about that until after his playing days are over. But good player. Was one of the highest sought out after players in that draft left, in terms of linemen. Went to the Cardinals later in the draft, slipped more than what people thought. Had a good career with Arizona, and then was released in 2023. And then he joins Kansas City Chiefs when they had a bunch of lineman issues. And you can see him pictured here in this graphic as the Rams do say, yes, we have signed lineman DJ Humphries to a 1-year deal. As you can see him at number 70, if you're on YouTube with us, in his couple starts with the Kansas City Chiefs. And Mark, I will say this. Before the bad Friday the 13th news with Alaric Jackson, I was like, man, what a great depth signing. Fantastic. Let's say Alaric has to miss a game. And I would be comfortable with DJ Humphries starting a game at least, and better than a lot of guys out there that are on the team or around the league right now currently. But now that he will likely be the starter for a significant amount of time in game action, not just training camp and mini camp and joint practices, like he'll probably end up playing a lot of football in the regular season. I am concerned for a long period of time of games. Why? Well, when this news dropped that Alaric Jackson was dealing with the blood clots again, I was like, all right, what film can I get my hands on to watch before I get home and really, really, really study? So found some clips, try to watch as much as possible with his final year was with Arizona in 2023, and then his couple starts with the Kansas City Chiefs in this past 2024 campaign. And let me tell you this. There are a lot of moments you're like, that's good football right there. And there are a lot of moments you're like, God, this is bad. And that's usually the life of a lineman, right? It's not always going to be perfect. Unless if it was, you would be a Whitworth, you'd be a Trent Williams, you'd be a Joe Thomas, you'd be a Hall of Fame level player. Of course, I know that. But for his limited action in 2024 and then his final year with Arizona in 2023, I feel like there was a lot more, I didn't like that more than, okay, that was good. So why does that matter? Because if he's going to be playing for a lot of games, which I'm guessing, then we better hope that he gets some great synergy with the rest of our O-line, gets coached up, and finds his former Pro Bowl self. Because if we get the wishy-washy DJ Humphries for, again, a long period of time, we're talking 4 or more games, I'm worried about it. I am, Mark. I am.
Yeah.
One, I think we can get away with it, but multiple games, half a season, which I'm, predicting, I don't know, man. I don't know.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing as you when I saw the signing, and I was actually celebrating because I was patting myself on the back a lot because I have the receipts for like 2 months. I have been saying the one thing that concerns me most about this team is backup left tackle. And
Yeah.
then they signed Quisenberry, and I was like, I don't know if that's the answer.
The backup
And
right
then
tackle.
yeah, right. And then they
Yeah.
signed. I saw the message. My special assistant sent me the tweet of the Rams to sign DJ Humphries, and I was like, exactly what I've been saying. Perfect signing. It just makes total sense. And then, about an hour later, I got the news about Alaric, and that was quite the bummer. But yeah, it's just a matter of getting him spun up in this offense and making him just play pretty good tackle, just play pretty good football for us, and we'll probably be okay. But yeah, I thought the same thing. Backup tackle, check that box. We're good to go. And the only other thing we need is maybe a Jalen Ramsey, and we're good to go.
Yeah, and let's not forget with his time with Kansas City. I mean, he played those 2 games. Again, I watched the film, and that's where all my opinions, a lot of, or 99% of the time, football wise, come from, guys. I watched the film, not hearsay or what people's opinions or insiders or other analysts. Like, what am I seeing with my own 2 eyes? And he warranted getting benched, and he did. They said, the Kansas City Chiefs, like, hey, Thuney, a guard, can you play left tackle? We like you better at left tackle than this guy who was a former Pro Bowl left tackle. And I get it. It was a while
Yeah, that's
ago,
he, yeah,
so, but it just goes to show you that he wasn't even good enough to retain that job, and they rather would have had a guard play, and obviously they rode it to the Super Bowl, so it worked out. But and then they got their ass whooped by the Eagles front 7. But I'm worried.
yeah.
I am.
Another reason to maybe be more optimistic is the Chiefs didn't sign him until November. So it could have
Correct.
also
Yeah.
been a case of him, being a little rusty, just not fitting in with the offense. It could be part of that too. So if he is the guy for the Rams, he's got close to 3 months to get his game together, and so we can be hopeful. He can
Yeah.
play some decent left tackle.
And absolutely. And like you pointed out earlier, Mark, I'm playing devil's advocate outside of my negativity about all this situation. Again, he's got ample time to, like I said as well, build that chemistry, that synergy with the current O-line. Again,
Right.
whoever wins the starting center job, and Matthew Stafford and the schematics, and he's got, mini camp, training camp, joint practices. I mean, that's valuable, and that's good that it's now than later. But what I saw on film, I did not enjoy. There were some good moments, but there was still a large handful. I was like, I don't like that. And then they benched him for a guard. Like, that happened last year, not that long ago. So we shall see, Rams Nation. Again, he's better than a lot of guys out on the street. Let's just be honest. He's better than probably whatever left tackle you were hoping would be a backup or turn out good. And again, could there be guys that emerge during minicamp, training camp, and joint practices because they get reps at left tackle because the Rams are like, all right, let's see who, we're not loyal to DJ. He's only on a 1-year deal, probably the veteran minimum. Like, whoever earns it, let's go. So, I mean, could there be somebody on the depth chart that kicks ass and emerges? Very possible. Very, very possible. Right, Mark?
Yeah, and I look at this list of offensive tackles here,
Mm-hmm.
and the one guy we really don't know about is KT Leviston, and then there's Warren McClendon.
Yeah.
But if the Rams felt good about either of those guys, the prospects of either one of them being able to step in, they wouldn't have made the signing. So,
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
maybe they, who knows? I wish our beat reporters would get us, some feedback on guys like this, guys a little bit buried on the depth. I think we've seen enough of AJ or Curry to know. Sorry, AJ. I
Hmm,
think you're a practice squad guy, and that's
fair.
about it.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, we'll have to see. But
I know it's brutal.
Yeah, McClendon's a guy that I think could slip in for Havenstein though, and at
Yeah,
least be
yeah, yeah,
serviceable.
absolutely. I mean, look at Warren McClendon had an awful game against Arizona, had an awful game in Miami or against Miami, and then he had a solid game against the Patriots, right? So I mean, we've seen the good and bad, the yin and yang with him. Hopefully, whether it's DJ Quisenberry, McClendon, somebody else, or Curry, anybody else on the practice squad, or anyone on the 90
Yeah, that's
man.
Trey Wettig there on the bottom right. I didn't label these as
Yeah,
the
yeah. So
page
I
got a
mean,
little
like,
bit too crowded.
we'll see, and we better hope somebody emerges and fills in because my prediction, Alaric's missing half the season minimum if everything goes according to probably his health plan, right? Take time off, enjoy it, but we'll see if he'll be ready for week 1, but I doubt it. I doubt it. And DJ Humphries was signed because of that, and we all were excited for the depth, and then we realized, oh, he's going to be our starter. How fun!
Oh, yeah.
How fun and not fun. You know what I mean, Rams Nation. But man, oh man, a lot going on today, Rams Nation. As also, on top of all this offensive lineman craziness, the Rams decided to release cornerback Derion Kendrick. As they said, hey, we feel good about Akello. We feel great about Darius as well. We also feel good and great about Jacoby Durant. We also like what we're seeing from Emmanuel Forbes Jr. as we picked him up off the waiver wire at the end of last season from Washington, a former first-round pick. As all reports are saying, hey, he's making plays, he's looking better, he's bulking up, he's not a twig anymore like people used to make fun of him. Right? He's getting some muscles on that thinner frame that he has. People like AJ Green, not Bengals wide receiver, but our young AJ Green corner on the Rams, and people like Jolly as well. So a lot of people are making plays and performing in that secondary, according to reporters and team reporters and whatnot. So don't forget about oh gosh, I'm blanking. Quinn Lake in the slot, excuse me. Don't forget about Cameron Kitchens and McCullough and others also in that secondary who all play, the slot corner, the dime linebacker, the dime safety. So unfortunate for Derion. Let's just be honest about it. That torn ACL he had last year just derailed his career. It did. Right? I mean, I think that's just fair to say. It's crappy. It's unfortunate, but that's just the reality. He was getting reps at that star position and at the dime linebacker, the dime safety, whatever name you want to call it. And, Chris Shula and other defensive players are like, hey, Darion's looking good there. It feels like we're getting a role for him there. Blows his knee out and then forget about it. Hey, Quinn, sorry, you got to come back and play that. And, things worked out. McCullough stepped up as an undrafted rookie and everything was fine for majority of the season and played good football as a group at the end of the season. So again, all these guys you see here listed in front of you, if you're on YouTube, everyone I named, and I did forget about Lampkin and Woods and Wallace and others, they feel good about that group of guys. And they said, Derion, whether he was the odd man out and just not looking up to par, whether the knee injury did derail him because of that, or that was the reason why he wasn't looking up to par, or whatever it is, there's a simple answer outside of just what you're seeing with the football on the field. The Rams save $3.4 million in cap space and only have $33,000 in dead money for releasing Derion Kendrick. So not only did the money just make a ton of sense, unfortunately for Derion, but then, like we said, all these other guys were stepping up, and reports are that a lot of them were looking good in camp or OTAs. So, I mean, Mark, it comes down to just the ACL derailed his career at this point, and the money savings was just too good to pass up. And from the Rams front office point of view, unfortunately for Derion.
Yeah, a few thoughts on this. The first thing I want to say is, from all reports, his career was on a very nice trajectory last year
Yeah.
during camp. And they were ranting and raving about him, much like they're ranting and raving, some people anyways, about Emmanuel Forbes. And that may have been, the the kiss of death for Derion, a guy like Forbes improving. And he is, I think the Rams are down to 89 players now. So there's a possibility. Is it possible that they are about to add another defensive back? Perhaps. I don't
No.
know. It's possible. But yeah, I think it's mainly about, we saw it last year. A lot of these young cornerbacks, when they had their chances, they played pretty good. And then you throw Forbes into the mix. And I will say this about Dariana, and this is one thing I got wrong over the off season. I kept on bringing him up. Don't forget about Derion. Don't forget about Derion.
Yeah,
And
you
I
did.
got some pushback on that, and I ended up being wrong. But I think there's also an element with Darion's game where maybe he doesn't really fit into that culture of. I mean, I'm going to be a little bit. I'm going to be a little mean here, but I think we could all agree there are times where he's a bit of a knucklehead on the field, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Some bonehead plays, right?
for sure.
And
Yeah, a lot of holding penalties, PI.
right,
He would get beat. He had a very Jalen Ramsey-esque personality, but didn't have
right,
the Hall of Fame skill set to back it up, right? That's that's
right.
just being real about it.
Yeah, so maybe that played a little bit into it, but I think it's mainly about, like you said, guys like Forbes and Wallace and Woods and even Lampkin, some of these other guys. The Rams have seen enough of them to know, undrafted players that can play pretty good football. So let's move on from Darion, and
Yeah.
maybe he's not fully recovered either. Who knows?
I mean, they say it takes more than one full year to be able to feel good about the knee injury, right? So, I mean, he's definitely not fully ready to rock if I had to just put money on it, right? Every player that's had any serious knee injury and, a year later, they're always like, hey, it was that second year I felt really, really good, not that first year coming back. So I don't see why that would be any different for Darion here. And
Yeah, and
again, it's unfortunate.
Yeah, and worth mentioning a go back here, and we should have mentioned this. I should have mentioned it. DJ Humphries tore his ACL in December 2023.
Correct. Yeah.
So there's that too. Sorry, we already covered that, but it was worth mentioning since we're talking
Injuries.
about
And look at he
ACL.
hasn't been the same since either. Let's just be
No,
honest. Like
right,
it's an issue. That's why I'm worried about Alaric. Again, I'll stop talking about it and willfully hope for positive news down the line with him.
right.
But a lot of craziness happening today in Rams land, my fellow Rams fans. I mean, man, oh man. So this money probably frees up the veteran minimum, 1 to 2 million that DJ Humphries will get. Again, I know he's played a long time, so I'm not exactly sure on what that veteran minimum will be on that 1 year deal, but it'll be over at least 1 million. So
Oh,
pretty good. And I think the Rams now roughly have about 21, 22 million in cap space to spend. So there's some flexibility to obviously sign him, sign other guys if needed, if everything goes to hell in preseason, even more with players and injuries and other unforeseen things. So there's money to play around with. Money for trades, money for signings, money for a lot of moves to hopefully host the Lombardi Trophy at the end of this.
yeah. So
You know,
let me ask you this. Just throwing this out there, the Rams have 2 first-round picks. If there's some bottom feeders with a decent left tackle, would you support trading one of those first round picks for a pretty good left tackle at this point?
absolutely. But you know what? Any good left tackle is not available ever. So it would have to
Well,
be
that's
some
true.
catastrophic disaster where everyone's getting fired, GM, head
Right.
coach, and then we take advantage of that situation and snag a left tackle or any lineman or any player really. That's
Yeah,
usually how it goes. So
that's the dilemma with some of these coaches. You say like, yeah, I would give up this guy for a first round pick, but I probably won't be around to make that pick because
it's
because I
true.
just gave away my left tackle and my team's going to suck even more.
Yeah, I mean, just good linemen are such a valuable asset and just a valuable player. Think about it. There's not that many really good linemen in the league. That's why you see defensive linemen, edge rushers, outside linebackers, DNs, all that pass rushing groups. They just are mauling the crap out of O-lines on a weekly basis, and you just see it all around the league. There's more super freaks on defense trying to get the quarterback and stop the run than there are linemen to stop that from happening. And, it's hard for teams to bail on guys. Again, we have to hope for some team to be in a complete rebuild, blow it up, coaches fired, GMs fired, everyone's starting over. But even then, the interim coach, the future GM, the future head coach, like they're keeping a good lineman. It's just too hard.
Do you think if DJ Humphries is the starter, and we have some concerns about him, or McVay has some concerns, does that make us lean even more to 12 personnel, you think?
Absolutely. I think we were going to lean towards that way based on his comments, McVay's, based on Higbee's comments, based on Ferguson's comments, and I'm sure we'll get a good taste of it in joint practices against the Cowboys and other teams, I'm sure, on our preseason slate. But definitely more now, and it's needed, because I can't tell you how much it pissed me off last season watching film, breaking down film with you guys. And thanks for tuning in on those Orchestrated Rams episodes that we did, and there'll be more of those. Don't worry. McVay's game plan. It's like, hey, McClendon's getting his ass whooped. Or Curry's getting his ass whooped. Whatever. Or Jonah Jackson's getting his ass whooped. Like, can we call some screens? Can we get more tight ends to be there to help run block or pass block or et cetera? And many times he would not do that. And he set up our guys struggling for failure, in my opinion. So this time around, whether DJ Humphries is playing well or not, let's get some tight ends in there to help out with not only the run game, but maybe not even just stay at home and pass block with them, but even just a good chip. Hey, help out DJ Humphries. Help out anybody else that's starting in that spot. Give a chip block to Nick Bosa or whoever else and help out, and then go out for a pass. Hey, Kyron, we're going to need you to really step up and pass block even more than usual. Help out on that side. I mean, all these things need to be squared out, and McVay is smart enough to do it, but we all know when he gets caught up in calling plays, I mean, a lot of things just go out the window, and he's admitted to that. Like, he'll just not forget, but you get caught up in the moment. So I hope that improves, because we'll need it big time.
It'll be okay, Ian. It'll be okay.
I know. It's more just like, hey, we haven't even hit the worry time of the off season yet, where people are having season-ending injuries in mini camp and training camp, right? I mean, we haven't even hit that point where every year there's a handful of star players or starters, not just the Rams, but just league-wide, where people are going down, and it's like, uh-oh. Like, we haven't even hit that point, and we're already with our team. Gosh freaking dang it. But hopefully Alaric's blood clot issue can be solved. Hopefully he will be able to play as early as possible as week 1. Unlikely, my guess. I'm no medical professional, but if I had to just be real about it, probably won't see him till the halfway point if they're being cautious with his overall health as a human. Right. Makes sense. So we shall see, Mark and Rams Nation. We shall see.
See. Yeah, we'll have to see what happens. If this Derion Kendrick move is going to lead to another move as well. And be some fun times to watch. I still think there's going to be a little bit of roster turn over the next week or so.
Yeah, it feels that way. And come on, Miami Dolphins, just fold. Cut Ramsey so he can choose us, and we can all be in a better mood after Friday the 13th bullcrap we're dealing with today.
Yeah, that'd make up for it a little bit, losing apparently.
But again, I don't expect those things to happen until training camp, so we got a little while till then. But that would make me feel a lot better. And everyone hopefully will have a safe practice schedule out there in Maui next week. As let's not forget, Rams will be out there in Hawaii celebrating the Hawaiian people, celebrating the Hawaiian culture, sharing the bond of the unfortunate fires, both in their state and our California state out here in the LA greater area. So hopefully we can bond, not think of all the bad things. Everyone stay healthy. Everyone have a good time. Fish, eat plenty of Spam and other goods. And we can all enjoy that. But we'll have a special guest on Wednesday, our friend Mike from the LA Football Network. If you follow them on Instagram, Twitter,
that's right.
And their website, we'll have Mike joining us. Our next big episode next week from minicamp. So tune into that. And if you're on YouTube, again, subscribe to the channel. If you're on the podcast only side of things, share this podcast with all your fellow Rams fans. Any of that, we very much appreciate it. But never forget, no matter the negativity, the positivity, or the neutrality, if that's even a word. Oh, I just made it up. Go Rams, baby.